Perfect. Good day, everyone. Stacey and I are really looking forward to sharing some thoughts on driving measurable outcomes from KOL data and talking about where we see this space going briefly today. We only have a short period of time with you, but let's go ahead and get started. Maybe some quick introductions, Stacey, if you don't mind.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Stacey Rivkin. I'm the Vice President for Client Strategy here at H1. My team is really all about getting the insights from the data that we deliver. I've been with H1 for 6 months, but known them for longer than that because previous to this, I was a client, and I've been in pharma for 20 years, worked in medical affairs across large organizations, really working with my teams to understand KOL identification, profiling, and strategy, and we bring those insights to our clients.
Perfect. And I'm Ben Carmel, VP of Sales and Marketing. I've been in life sciences for over 16 years with a primary focus on HCP engagement, data integrations, reporting. I'm a recovering consultant who's worked across top 5 global pharma companies all the way down to pre-launch biotechs, everything in between. And I started my career at Accenture before spending time at Polaris, IQVIA, and now H1. So given that the group knows who we're talking to, what is it that we want to accomplish today? Really want to spend the bulk of the time talking and walking you through some use cases that highlight how similar companies to yours are driving better outcomes and results with their KOL data. And then most excitingly for me, I want to steal a few minutes at the end to highlight some of the more forward-thinking concepts that we see in the space and where we at H1 will be spending our time over the next few years. So without further ado, let's talk about, as we dive in here a little bit, some of the things that clients are constantly asking Stacey and I and our teams is about how can they take their KOL processes and really drive it forward in different ways. To answer that, we have to think about the different creative ways that drive outcomes from data and therefore can drive insights that we can glean. And so we want to start with how to understand some of those latest strategies that companies are successfully deploying to drive this process to their benefit. So for us and for our clients, everything starts with having the right data. It has to be global. It has to be broad in terms of coverage and deep in terms of attributes. You can't have your source of information be pre-filtered for you, right? We can't just look at traditional measures now that there are expansive data sets out there that have been harmonized. We can't just look at global supersets of information, maybe the way we have historically. We need to look at nuanced regional and country-specific data. The question we're asking ourselves always is, how do we ensure that we have all relevant possibilities within our data? Second, it's critical to have a complete understanding of the individuals that you're interrogating and investigating and validating. Do we know if they participated in a marketing ad board in one section of the organization or if they published for us or something else? How do we ensure that we have all relevant knowledge about that individual to view and really understand the full 360-degree view of that key opinion leader or that thought leader? And how does that impact our overall strategy? And then lastly, how do we move beyond just standard analysis? It's important not to base our process on what we know or what's worked in the past, right? Given the fact that we're all virtual, COVID, social media, all of these things are really changing the game in our space. So how do we as professionals ensure that we're pushing ourselves to leverage information in unique and competitive ways? And if we really think about it, each of these different components need to drive shifts in our process. And we'll use some real life examples here to articulate the challenges, solutions, and outcomes achieved by focusing on specifically leveraging expansive global data and focusing on some specialized research. Stacey?
Thanks, Ben. So I think what we'd love to do is talk to you today a little bit about some of the innovative strategies that we've been working on with our clients. And if we think about general KOL research, it's really focused on who are those top publishers, who are those top presenters, who are those top thought leaders that are running trials. You know, that's really where that traditional world has lived and how, you know, where most of us have lived for a very long time. However, we really understand that there are new avenues out there that people are communicating in that they are engaging with their peers in. And one of those is obviously social media. So what do you do when a client comes to you and they say, we really want to understand what's happening in social media? What are our KOLs doing? What are they thinking? Can we understand their presence on social media? Can we weed through the noise to understand what they're really thinking about? There's a ton of content on social media, but being able to distill what's important to our clients and to the thought leaders is really where our projects are at. So we have a client who is really interested in understanding how they can integrate social media into their strategy, and that really starts with identifying who's on Twitter and what are they tweeting about. We were able to identify hundreds of KOLs in their therapeutic areas that were on Twitter using artificial intelligence and machine learning. We were able to really analyze who those people are and what they're tweeting about. What I will tell you is that you have to, again, there's a ton of tweets out there that are going to be irrelevant, but to be able to find that diamond in the rough takes a lot of data and analytics, machine learning behind it that really can help you talk about not only who are the tweeters, but what they're tweeting about that's relevant to your business. So once you get through all of the COVID and once you get past all of the politics, you can really start to distill insights on what they're tweeting about. So really understanding who are the people who are engaging on Twitter and what they're talking about, and then understanding what content others are out there who are tweeting about them. Once we can sift through all of that information, we're really able to pinpoint those insights and highlights that are really important to our clients. We can understand who their KOLs are, when they're tweeting, what they're tweeting about that's relevant to our clients, our products, our therapeutic area, and to patients, and then where they can best integrate into those conversations. So what does that do for our clients? It really helps them get this huge big picture of understanding who those thought leaders are that are on Twitter, past all the noise, and really being able to uncover those educational gaps that allow them to focus on where their message is going to be most relevant. In addition, not only looking at those who are tweeting, but understanding the people that are retweeting those thought leaders, those people that are commenting and discussing with those thought leaders the different content, really allows the client to understand new stakeholders as well as understand their existing stakeholders with a whole new dimension. So this client was really able to take those insights and integrate them into their overall social media strategy. So going in a totally different direction, we can think about market events. Typically, when a pharmaceutical company comes along a market event, they can be unprepared. Again, if they've done all of their work in KOLs focused on publishers, congresses, and clinical trialists, what happens when a market event, a once in a lifetime market event comes around like COVID? How can we help them get up to speed quickly on who is relevant in the COVID space? One of the problems with that is really understanding the noise. And so one of the unique things about the data that we work with, and something that I hadn't had experience with before coming to H1, is really understanding claims data. Can we use claims data to help weed out the noise in our treatment level to understand who are the relevant people in these therapeutic areas? Luckily for COVID, claims codes came around very quickly for us to really start to understand those treatment paradigms. So how do you take a huge set of COVID treaters and really identify the ones that are relevant to you? Well, what we started doing is we started looking at concurrent data sets. What we wanted to do was analyze not only who had just gotten into the COVID business, but who were the people who had been treating in those urgent care centers to really uncover the segment that they were interested in, which is in that early patient diagnosis. So can we look at those concurrent diagnoses? Who are the people who are treating strep throat and COVID? Who are the people who are treating a broken arm and have those claims for COVID. That'll help us identify those people in the outpatient setting that are really relevant. And then on the other side, if we're looking at those COVID treaters, can we identify those people who are also treating patients on ventilators, treating patients in the ICU, to really understand those severe patient focus so that we can help our client target both those outpatient settings where their products and solutions for patients are going to be most relevant, as well as those inpatient settings where there's other treatment paradigms that they have that are going to be relevant. So looking at both of those really helps us pull the right data sets to have them identify quickly and analytically who to validate and become part of their target audience. From there, it's really easy for us to tag those individuals and segment them, as well as then use our platform to unlock all of the different information about them, their co-collaborators, their referral networks, who they are in the institutions with, to really help the client segment further their different target segments. And from there, we can really help those clients understand not only what's happening in COVID today, but also how those changes are going to affect the future. So I hope those two case studies were helpful to really understand how we're using new data sets aligned with our old traditional and existing profile information on publications, research, and clinical trials to really help advance our clients' business needs and deliver those insights that they're looking for.
Yeah, really, really exciting stuff that I know that the folks working on it are very proud of. I only have about 60 seconds left or so, but you can't have a conference like Next Normal without talking about what's next. So for some fun as we think about it, what's the next big problem in our world? It's really about transparency of information across entities and their specific needs for information. So the quickest, most simple way that I can think about it is all these different groups have a tough time at different aspects, right? Life sciences manufacturers have a tough time keeping a master file with all relevant healthcare professionals with the right level of information about them. Payers have a tough time keeping their provider directories active. All the support organizations in the life sciences ecosystem have a tough time accessing data that they need to drive strategic engagements in support of every interaction from discovery all the way through commercialization. Healthcare organizations have a tough time tracking all of their own providers, who's in their network, how do they maintain those networks. Healthcare professionals have a tough time tracking all of their work. Where's it being cited? Where's everything being published? What's being shared on social media about their work, about their focus areas? And then for all of us as patients, right, we have a tough time knowing what healthcare providers we should see and for what and how to make the right decisions. And so, very, very quickly, we see this, we see the key to the ability to unlock this transparency as being an authoritative truth and an authoritative source of truth, one place where everyone in the space is going, regardless of whether you're going to see someone collaborate, discover, work with, and so on and so forth. And that's where we're going to be spending our time, and something that we're very excited about. And with that, we'd like to thank everybody for their time.